The Crying Baby at 30,000 Feet. Marcus Chen didn't do crying babies. He didn't do coach class either. But life had thrown him a curveball that Tuesday morning, when his assistant informed him that his private jet was grounded for emergency maintenance. Now, buckled into seat 2A of a commercial flight from Seattle to New York, the tech billionaire found himself surrounded by the very chaos he'd spent millions to avoid. The baby started wailing before they even reached cruising altitude. Marcus pressed his noise-cancelling headphones tighter against his ears, but the child's desperate screams cut through the technology. Like a knife through butter. 3 rows back, a young woman, the mother, he assumed, was bouncing the infant frantically, her face flushed with embarrassment and exhaustion. "I'm so sorry," she kept repeating to everyone within earshot. "He's usually so good. I'm so sorry." Marcus tried to focus on his laptop, but the spreadsheet before him might as well have been written in hieroglyphics. The baby's cries escalated, and he could hear the mother's voice cracking now, her apologies turning desperate. Around him, passengers shifted uncomfortably. A businessman 2 rows up sighed loudly and made a show of checking his watch. An older woman across the aisle tutted disapprovingly. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He had a board meeting in 4 hours that would determine the fate of a merger worth $800 million, and he couldn't even hear himself think. The flight attendant approached the mother, her professional smile strained. "Ma'am, is there anything we can—" "I've tried everything," the mother sobbed. His bottle, his pacifier, walking with him. "I don't know what else to do." Marcus glanced back, ready to add his own silent judgment to the chorus of disapproval. But what he saw made him pause. The mother couldn't have been more than 25. Her clothes were clean but worn, her sneakers held together with careful stitches. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and her hands trembled as she adjusted the crying baby against her shoulder. In the seat beside her sat an older child, maybe 6 or 7, pressing himself against the window with the practiced invisibility of a kid who'd learned to make himself small. Something about the scene nagged at Marcus. The way the little boy's clothes were too thin for November, the way the mother's fingers were red and chapped, the single small backpack that held everything they owned. The baby's screams reached a new pitch. "This is ridiculous," the businessman announced to no one in particular. "Some people shouldn't travel with children if they can't control them." The mother's face crumpled, and she turned toward the window, her shoulders shaking. Marcus felt an unfamiliar twist in his chest. He'd grown up in circumstances not so different from what he was witnessing: a single mother, hand-me-down clothes, the weight of judgment from people who'd never known what it meant to count pennies for milk. He'd spent the last 15 years building an empire specifically, so he'd never have to feel that powerless again. The baby screamed on, and then, from the back of the plane, a girl stood up. She couldn't have been more than 19 or 20, dressed in a food-stained fast food uniform, her name tag still pinned to her chest, Emma, trainee. She had the kind of face that showed every emotion, open, honest, entirely unself-conscious. As she moved up the aisle, passengers watched her with curiosity. She stopped beside the mother's row and knelt in the aisle, her voice gentle. "Hey, I'm Emma. Would you like me to try?" The mother looked up, tears streaming down her face. You don't have to. I'm sorry, You have nothing to be sorry for," Emma said firmly. She glanced at the flight attendant, who nodded permission. "I'm the oldest of 6. Babies and we understand each other." The mother hesitated, then, with the desperate hope of someone drowning, she passed her son over. Emma took the baby and did something unexpected. She didn't bounce him or shush him or try any of the conventional techniques. Instead, she held him close to her chest and started humming, a low, rhythmic sound that Marcus could barely hear over the engine noise. Then she began to sway, not the quick back and forth of the frantic mother, but a slow circular motion, like she was dancing to music only she could hear. "Hey there, little man," she murmured. I know. Everything's so loud and bright and scary, isn't it? Big feelings for such a little body." The baby's cries faltered, hitched, then continued, but with less intensity. Emma kept swaying, kept humming. She walked slowly up the aisle, then back down. her movements hypnotic in their steadiness. "That's it," she whispered. "You're okay. You're safe. I've got you." Marcus found himself watching, mesmerized. Around him, other passengers had stopped their sighing and tutting, drawn into the quiet drama unfolding in the aisle. "When my baby brother was colicky," Emma said softly, still moving, "Mama figured out he needed to feel a heartbeat. He'd been hearing hers for 9 months, you know. Out here in the world, everything felt too big without it." She adjusted the baby closer. "So I'm letting you hear mine. Boom, 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 just like home." The baby's cries softened to whimpers. "There you go," Emma breathed. "See, the world's not so bad. Just overwhelming sometimes. I get it. I cry in the bathroom at work at least twice a week." A few passengers smiled. The mother watched with her hand pressed to her mouth. Emma continued her slow circuit of the aisle, humming a melody that sounded like an old lullaby Marcus's own mother used to sing. The baby's eyes began to droop, his tiny fist clutching Emma's uniform collar. "That's right," she whispered. "You're just tired. Being a baby is exhausting work, huh? All those new sights and sounds and feelings. You deserve a rest, little warrior." 5 minutes later, the baby was asleep, his small body finally relaxed against Emma's chest. The plane erupted in quiet applause. Emma grinned, embarrassed, and carefully transferred the sleeping infant back to his mother, who clutched him like he was made of gold. "How did you—" the mother started. "6 siblings," Emma reminded her gently, "and a mama who worked 3 jobs. I learned early." She glanced at the older boy by the window. "What's your name, honey?" "Daniel," the boy whispered. Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out a crumpled bag of gummy bears. "These got me through my shift today. Think they might get you through this flight?" Daniel's face lit up like Christmas morning. The mother grabbed Emma's hand. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Sarah, and We've been traveling for 18 hours. We're moving to New York because I got a job. And everything's been so hard, and I was so worried people would be angry and—" "Hey," Emma said softly, "you're doing amazing. Look at these beautiful kids. Look at how hard you're trying. That's what matters." As Emma made her way back to her seat, Marcus found himself standing up before he'd made a conscious decision to move. "Excuse me," he called after her. "Emma, was it?" She turned, surprised. Up close, he could see the acne scars on her cheeks, the chapped lips, the exhaustion in her young eyes that matched Sarah's. This was someone who understood struggle intimately. "Yes?" Marcus pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card, one of the private ones, with his direct number. Then he did something he never did. He acted on impulse. "What you did was remarkable," he said. "I'd like to talk to you when we land." Emma looked confused. I helped with the baby. Anyone would have—" "But they didn't," Marcus interrupted. He glanced around the first-class cabin, at the businessman who'd complained, at all the people who'd judged instead of helping. "You did." He pressed the card into her hand. "Call me tomorrow. I'm serious." Emma looked at the card, her eyes widening as she read the name. You're Marcus Chen, the Marcus Chen, Chen Technologies. I am, and you're Emma the trainee who sees people instead of problems." He paused. "Do you like working in fast food?" Not really. But it's a job. I'm trying to save for community college." Marcus nodded slowly. "Call me tomorrow," he repeated. Then, before he could overthink it, he turned to Sarah. "And you, what kind of job did you get in New York?" Sarah looked startled at being addressed. "I'm starting as a receptionist at a law firm. It's entry-level, but it's a start. Better than what we had in Seattle. Where are you staying?" "We have a friend's couch for 2 weeks while I find us a place." Marcus pulled out another business card and wrote something on the back. "This is my personal assistant's number. Call her tomorrow. My company has corporate housing that sits empty half the year. You and your boys can stay there for 3 months while you get on your feet. No charge." Sarah's face went pale. "I can't. That's too much." "Why would you—" "Because someone helped me once," Marcus said quietly, surprising himself with the truth of it. "When my mother and I had nothing, when we were living in our car, a stranger gave her a chance, a job, an apartment, hope. I've spent 15 years telling myself I earned everything I have, but tonight reminded me that none of us get anywhere alone." He looked at Emma, then at Sarah, then at little Daniel with his gummy bears. "We're all just people on a plane trying to get somewhere better. Sometimes we need someone to hold us while we cry. Sometimes we need someone to offer us shelter. The only difference between success and struggle is often just whether someone decided to help." Sarah was crying again, but these were different tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll call." "Both of you." Emma stared at her business card like it might vanish. "Why me? For what?" Marcus smiled, a real smile, the first one in longer than he could remember. "I have a company full of brilliant engineers and business strategists. But you know what I don't have? People who lead with compassion. People who see a crying baby and think, 'How can I help?' instead of, 'How can I escape this discomfort?'" He paused. "My company funds a scholarship program for employees pursuing education. We also have entry-level positions in our community outreach department. Interested?" Yes. Marcus returned to his seat, feeling lighter than he had in years. As the plane continued toward New York, he noticed the atmosphere had shifted. The businessman who'd complained was now chatting warmly with an older woman about his own grandchildren. A teenager was helping an elderly passenger with their overhead bag. Sarah was resting with her sleeping baby, a peaceful expression finally on her face, while Daniel colored on a napkin Emma had given him. One act of kindness had rippled outward, touching everyone in its path. Marcus opened his laptop again, but instead of the merger documents, he found himself drafting an email to his board. He'd been focused for so long on profits and growth that he'd forgotten the human element, not as a corporate buzzword, but as a genuine value. What if Chen Technologies led with humanity? What if they hired for compassion as much as competence? What if success was measured not just in dollars but in dignity? 6 months later, Marcus stood in his company's headquarters, watching Emma lead a presentation to the board. She'd enrolled in night classes, worked her way from community outreach coordinator to program manager, and had just proposed an initiative to hire and train young people from struggling backgrounds, people like he'd been. "Everyone has potential," Emma told the room of executives. "They just need someone to believe in them first, to hold them steady while they find their feet, to see them, really see them, when the world wants to look away." After the meeting, as the board members filed out buzzing with enthusiasm, Sarah approached with Daniel and the baby, now a chubby, happy toddler. "He's starting to walk," Sarah said, beaming. She'd been promoted twice in 6 months and had just moved into her own apartment. "I never thanked you properly for—" "You thank me every day," Marcus interrupted. "By thriving. By showing your boys what resilience looks like. By paying it forward." He nodded toward the window, where Sarah had been volunteering with a program that helped other single mothers. "That's the real return on investment." Emma joined them, grinning. "Ready for this? I've been accepted to NYU, full scholarship. I start in the fall." "Marketing major?" Marcus asked. "Social work, actually, with a business minor." She laughed. "Turns out I'm really good at seeing people. Might as well make a career of it." As Marcus watched the three of them, Sarah, Emma, and the boys, laughing together like family, he thought about that flight, about a crying baby and a poor girl who'd done something unthinkable in today's world. She'd cared when it was inconvenient. She'd helped when it cost her nothing but time and heart. She'd seen humanity where others saw annoyance, and in doing so she'd reminded him of his own. His phone buzzed with a text from his mother. "Proud of you, son. Not for the company, for remembering where you came from." Marcus smiled and looked out over the city, millions of people, each with their own struggles, their own crying babies, their own moments of desperation. How many Emmas were out there waiting to be seen? How many Sarahs, one breakaway from transformation? He couldn't save everyone, but he could start. One person, one family, one act of compassion at a time. Because at 30,000 feet, a poor girl in a food-stained uniform had done the unthinkable. She'd shown him that success without humanity was just expensive loneliness. That the measure of a life wasn't what you accumulated, but what you gave. That sometimes the most powerful thing a person could do was simply care, and that was worth more than all the billions in the world.